Good morning, and welcome back to Selling on Giants. I appreciate you spending your morning with us. I know Tuesdays move fast, calendars fill up quickly, and attention gets pulled in a lot of directions, so the goal here is simple. Give you a clear read on what is actually changing across Amazon, Walmart, and e-commerce right now, and more importantly, what it means if you are responsible for the P&L. There's a pattern showing up across Amazon that most sellers are underestimating, and it has nothing to do with ads, rankings, or even competition. It starts with compliance, but it doesn't end there. What we're seeing right now is a sharp increase in restricted product violations, and more importantly, how those violations are being enforced. This is not isolated. It is showing up across multiple categories, across different types of accounts, and in a way that feels less like manual review and more like automated enforcement at scale. Listings are getting flagged unexpectedly, including products that were previously compliant or even inactive. Sellers are updating listings, submitting documentation, doing everything by the book, and still getting denied. The part that stands out is how quickly those denials are happening. That speed tells you there is very little human review happening in the process. That creates a different level of risk. This is no longer about fixing a listing and moving on. One flag can impact account health, lock inventory, and force you into creating entirely new ASINs just to keep selling. That is operational disruption, not just a compliance issue. The underlying issue here is that enforcement is becoming more automated, and automation does not handle edge cases well. It does not care that your listing was compliant 3 years ago. It does not care that you updated the product. It evaluates what it sees, and if it interprets something incorrectly, you are left trying to resolve it inside a system that is not designed for nuance. So the takeaway is straightforward. Compliance is no longer reactive. If you are waiting for a flag to fix something, you are already behind. The operators who win here are auditing their catalogs proactively, documenting everything, and removing risk before Amazon surfaces it for them. That tightening on enforcement naturally connects to something else Amazon is tightening at the same time, and that is timelines. Because while compliance is forcing you to slow down and be more precise, Prime Day is forcing you to move faster, earlier, and with less flexibility. Amazon locked in Prime Day deadlines earlier again this year. Deals need to be scheduled by the end of April if you want to capture fee discounts, and by late May if you want full eligibility. Inventory deadlines are pushed into late May and early June depending on how your shipments are structured. What that means in practice is that Prime Day is no longer something you prepare for in June. It is something you commit to in April. Pricing strategy, margin thresholds, inventory allocation, all of it needs to be decided weeks in advance. And once those decisions are made, there is very little room to adjust. This is where a lot of brands get caught. They treat Prime Day like a promotion instead of a campaign. And campaigns require planning, not reaction. If your forecast is off, you are either out of stock or sitting on inventory, you cannot move profitably. If your pricing is wrong, you are locked into it. If your inventory misses the inbound window, you miss the event entirely. So the expectation is higher. You need clean data, clear margin guardrails, and confidence in your inventory position before you ever get close to the event. Now, while Amazon is tightening enforcement and timelines on one side, it is expanding its influence on the other, and this is where things start to get more strategic. Amazon has expanded its multi-channel fulfillment integration with Shopify globally. What used to be limited is now available across Europe, Japan, and Canada. On the surface, this looks like an operational win. One inventory pool, simplified logistics, faster scaling without building additional infrastructure. But if you look at it from an operator perspective, it is something else. Amazon is positioning itself as the fulfillment layer for your entire business, not just your marketplace sales. That creates efficiency, but it also creates dependency. The more your operations rely on Amazon's infrastructure, the less control you have over flexibility, costs, and long-term strategy. This is not just fulfillment. This is Amazon moving deeper into the operating system of e-commerce. And if you zoom out, you start to see the same pattern happening across retail, not just Amazon. Walmart is taking a different path, but heading to a similar place. In their latest annual report, they are not talking about e-commerce as a separate growth channel. They are talking about building a unified system where stores, fulfillment, digital, and AI all operate together. Stores are now fulfillment hubs. Inventory is positioned closer to the customer. AI is controlling forecasting, operations, and efficiency. This changes how sellers win. Inventory is no longer just supply. It is strategy. Where your inventory sits and how fast it moves directly impacts your ability to convert. Speed is no longer a differentiator. It is the baseline. If you cannot meet delivery expectations, you lose before the customer even evaluates your product. And AI is becoming the enforcement layer. It exposes inefficiencies, poor inventory flow, and weak SKUs faster than ever. So when you think about Walmart going forward, this is not just about listing optimization. This is about how well your product fits into their system. And that system is getting tighter. Staying on Walmart for a second, they are also moving up the funnel in a way that mirrors what Amazon has been doing with DSP. Walmart Connect is simplifying connected TV ad activation, making it easier for brands to run upper funnel campaigns tied directly to Walmart shopper data. This matters because it closes the loop. Brands can generate demand off platform, influence consideration, and then capture that demand inside Walmart's ecosystem. You are no longer competing only at the point of search. You are competing before search even happens. And if you are only focused on lower funnel tactics, you are going to feel that pressure over time. Amazon is doing the same thing just through different surfaces. They opened up Kindle lock screen ads through DSP, which is a high attention placement directly on the device. This is not about conversion, this is about attention. Amazon is building more surfaces where it can influence the customer before intent is expressed, and every new surface increases competition for awareness. So now you have to think beyond just capturing demand. You have to think about where demand is being created. And that connects to a broader shift happening outside of retail platforms that will impact everything we just talked about. Search itself is changing. With Gen AI, visibility is shifting from rankings to citations. Instead of competing to be number one on a page, you are competing to be the source that AI references when it generates an answer. You can rank and still not get traffic. AI can summarize the answer, cite your brand, and the user never clicks. So the objective changes. It is no longer about being found. It is about being trusted by the system generating the answer. For e-commerce brands, that impacts product discovery, content strategy, and how you think about SEO. If your content is generic, it will get ignored. Now, while all of this is happening on the digital side, there are operational shifts happening that can impact you immediately. USPS is tightening enforcement on unpaid or underpaid postage, and shipments are getting rejected at a much higher rate. This used to be a minor correction. Now it can stop shipments entirely. That creates delays, impacts delivery promises, and increases customer complaints. For FBM sellers or brands using USPS through a 3PL, this is a real risk. Small errors now have bigger consequences. And that same tightening is happening at the platform level. BigCommerce is introducing new fees for brands using external payment providers, pushing merchants toward their native system. This is not just pricing, it is control. Platforms want a bigger share of the transaction layer. If you choose flexibility, you are going to pay for it. So margin pressure increases and platform decisions become more strategic. Finally, on the advertising side, Meta is expanding its AI business assistant globally, automating campaign setup and optimization. Execution is becoming easier, strategy is not. More advertisers can launch campaigns quickly, which increases competition and drives up costs. If you rely on tools, you blend in. If you understand positioning, creative, and audience, you still have an edge. And that is really the thread across everything we covered today. Automation is increasing, control is tightening, and the gap between strong operators and everyone else is getting wider. Because the systems are getting better, but they are also less forgiving. So the expectation is higher. Clean data, clear strategy, strong execution. That is what holds up. I appreciate you spending your morning with us as we wrap up here. If you are getting value from these updates, make sure you are subscribed and leave a review. It helps more operators find the show and keeps this moving in the right direction. Mr. Will signing off from Selling on Giants. Let's keep pushing forward.